Yep.
How many minutes has it been? 19 minutes? Okay.
Really?
Capcom?
Oh.
Oh, it's Street Fighter. Yeah, they said heavy hitter at Street Fighter. Will they show jury feet? Okay, I'm just so interested in the art direction. Like, interested in what it's going to be like, right? Because they're obviously doing photorealism, but I'm hoping for some sauce.
Looks a little Vaseline.
Hugo! I saw Hugo.
That looks good.
I saw Hugo. Okay, who are the background characters right now?
This journey doesn't have a real ending.
Get out of the way, Luke. Show the other characters.
You ready to begin?
Looks awesome.
If you want to start off on the right foot in this city, hit the street.
He definitely looks better in this than in Street Fighter 5.
He's got like a little bit of a foggy sort of thing over the lens, which I never really am a fan of, but it still looks pretty good. What is that? What box on their head?
I think they're trying to return to the whole hip-hop theme from Street Fighter 3, which I think's good. What? A single player, like, beat-em-up mode in Street Fighter? That's ambitious, but I don't know if Capcom has the budget.
Cool. She's looking good. Holy moly.
Chun-Li lost the spike bangles. They're just regular bangles now.
Yeah.
Chun-Li looks a lot better in this than she did when they revealed her for Street Fighter 5.
Well, Fortnite does suit him after a minute.
Yeah. Who's that?
New girl.
I am not a Street Fighter lore expert by any means.
Watch the animated movie. That's it. Okay. That guy looks evil.
I saw Hugo in the background just now. Chun-Li, never heard of her. Oh, gameplay. Yeah, it definitely looks kind of like Mortal Kombat, which is what they're trying to do with the photorealism. You remember in the announcement trailer when it like added that art filter? There it is. Okay, that's what I was waiting for. I think that looks good. I think that's a good happy medium between realism and having some sauce in the art style. Is this actually a lot of gameplay?
Yeah. They probably knew that's what people were worried about, I guess. I don't know.
Looks like they're actually trying to get like cinematic with the supers there.
Cool. Yeah.
They didn't show any HUD or anything, so it's kind of hard to figure out the gameplay there. They're just trying to show people the art direction, right? I think it's really smart that they're trying to go back to the whole hip-hop theme from Street Fighter 3, and I think it's a good happy medium to have the photorealism, like the real, quote, realism, but with the art filters. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing I was hoping to see today.
Street Fighter 6 gameplay. Mark your calendars. It comes.
But they changed the logo a little bit.
2023.
Yeah, they did. Thank you. Because they got busted for just copying a stock logo.
Yeah.
Or buying a stock logo. I'm going back to Street Fighter. What time was it? It was
20-something. 20 minutes in.
Yeah, it was after Eternites. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at each of these posters. Metro City. Saw Hugo somewhere. Yeah, there's Hugo as well. And I'm not, like, super familiar with the Street Fighter lore. So I'm probably overlooking a lot of the, insights here. Getting hungry?
Yes, I am.
Okay, looking in the gym. That looks like it could be Jury on the left. When they do the opening shot. That could be. I feel like these are probably just generic people, though, that Luke's training with. Wait, I don't know. The guy on the right, though, the guy in the back on the right, he was a character they announced, right? The new character, Jamie, isn't that what his name was?
Oh yeah.
Was that him or is that a different guy? I'm trying to figure out if the people in the room that Luke's training in are actual characters or if they're just like background people.
I don't know. I don't know anything about Street Fighter.
Okay, then.
You don't know nothing. You watched the movie.
I watched the animated movie. That was it.
You want to start off on the right foot.
Luke is still such a weird character design. I don't think I'm ever being sold on that. But they did make him look better in this game. I still think it's weird they haven't shown Ken at all. Like, they've shown Ryu, but not Ken. I think it's because they're trying to do...
Like, punish Ryu, man.
Yeah. I think it's a good look.
You think Ken has Gulp died?
The Street Fighter story actually advancing.
Is it actually
Abigail? Like, hey, you think Abigail's back in? I know so many people who hate Abigail in Street Fighter 5. I'm like one of the only people that legitimately likes him. That would be so cool if both Hugo and Abigail are put in this game, right? Instead of the game just having one premier big body character. It could just be a thing for a stage, though, but this is still acknowledging Abigail's existence, which increases his chances of being playable again. What were you saying?
I can't remember.
You said, is this ... Auto pizza.
Yeah. It was like, is this, like, does this take place after Street Fighter 5?
Capcom doesn't like advancing the story at all. People just say eternally young. So I'm hoping that this actually takes place, like, after everything. Oh, look at that. In the back, above Metro City, there's a logo that looks almost exactly like the stock logo that Street Fighter 6 was looking like. But it's GH. It's GH in the hexagon. They snuck in the stock logo.
No.
As long as they took it off the box, I'm fine. Yeah, I guess these goons, question mark, with boxes over their heads are like grunts you beat up in the single player mode.
It's weird, yeah.
Okay, the thing is, NetherRealm, historically speaking, NetherRealm is the only fighting game company that has had any real success doing a story mode in their fighting games. And that is single-handedly because they have a huge budget compared to all other fighting game companies, right? Like, Mortal Kombat has such a big budget, which is why they're able to get such well-produced, such high-budget story modes, right? Which is how they get a bunch of casuals to play the game. Companies like Capcom, they've never allocated a big enough budget to their fighting game. Like, no Japanese company has ever designated a big enough budget towards their story modes or towards their fighting games to merit having a story mode, because whenever they include a story mode in a Japanese fighting game, it takes away development time and money from the rest of the game, and something always suffers because of it, right? So that has me a little worried, but maybe it's okay if Capcom's actually pulling out the big guns and they're actually giving this game a decent budget. Finally, what? If you give a fighting game a big budget, it actually pays off?
Yeah.
I don't know who that character is. The, Blonde Dreads. Mad Gear Gang? It's part of the Mad Gear Gang, though. I love how Final Fight and Street Fighter are literally just the same game now. Like, they're just in the same universe, because they kept doing crossover characters with Final Fight because they said they're in the same universe, and now they're literally in Metro City. It's so weird. Like, he's walking around, he's climbing things. It's almost as if he's in a hub, right?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you can only play as Luke in the single-player mode, which is why they're putting so much focus on him, and how they said in Street Fighter 5 that Luke's going to be the face of Street Fighter 6. Oh, you know what's funny? See him uppercutting the barrels? That might be how they include the mini-games, like the beating up the car mini-game.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Like, instead of beating up the car in arcade mode, you have to go around and beat up cars in the overworld.
Yeah.
What if it's just like a full-on Shenmue game? And the multiplayer is like a side thing.
Yeah.
So he's fighting random NPCs. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It's like a very sleek, streamlined version of Chun-Li. I'd say it's a pretty good design. Ryu has like... What does he have on his shoulder? They really like showing Ryu's feet for some reason.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, that's not just something he's carrying. He's actually wearing that thing. Oh, I think I know who this is. Yeah, Chun-Li actually like sort of has like an adopted daughter. So I guess this does acknowledge like time passing.
Cool.
Yeah, wasn't this guy's name Jamie, strangely?
Yeah.
I didn't imagine that, did I? Oh, they didn't say it yet. I think it's weird that if they wanted to add a Kung Fu type character, they didn't just use Yoon or Yang. Because Yoon or Yang are like Kung Fu characters from Street Fighter 3. I think they're trying to scratch that itch with him. Because, like, they're trying to do the hip-hop theme from Street Fighter 3. So they're probably looking at the characters from 3. And instead of putting Yoon or Yang... Maybe they thought it would be weird to have just one of them, since they're kind of, like, counterparts of each other. So instead, they decided to make a new one. But I think Street Fighter 4 only had Yoon or Yang. I always mix them up. But I don't think it had both. If I'm remembering correctly, Street Fighter 4 only had one of them. Yeah, Jamie. Why is his name Jamie? All these normal people names like Jamie, Luke. Okay, I want to watch this gameplay in slow-mo. This really does look like Mortal Kombat 11 almost. Like, it looks like they're trying to simulate the same sort of graphical fidelity.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing that I think is interesting about this is how close the camera is. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
The camera is pretty close for a fighting game. Yeah. They could just be doing that for the trailer, like you said, to make it a bit more cinematic. But if that is the camera distance in the game, in the normal gameplay, that would imply that zoning is not very strong at all, right?
Yeah.
So fortunately, even though it might look somewhat like MK11, it's still going to be much more like a Capcom fighting game, and that zoning is much more balanced than in a game like Mortal Kombat or Injustice. Okay, here the camera's pulled out a bit more when Ryu does the Hadouken. That looks like more normal camera distance, so maybe it was a cinematic thing. What do you think about these stages?
Pretty cool, I guess. I don't know.
I'm just talking about like from an art direction standpoint.
Oh, they're pretty good.
I think the angles. I think the angles are pretty good.
Yeah, like how 3D it looks. Pretty cool.
See, like the one when they're in the alley, right? Like,
yeah,
you can see down the alley when you're in the middle instead of just seeing the same thing everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm really glad they have that paint spatter effect. That's literally what I was talking about. When they showed the reveal trailer, I was saying, okay, yeah, it looks great. Even though I would prefer like a hyper stylized Street Fighter, right? Like personally, I always prefer like hyper stylization over realism. But when they showed those art filters, like those paint filters, for Ryu, it was like an ink filter. Like, it looked like Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
But for Luke, it was like a graffiti, like, colored paint. I was thinking, okay, maybe that's a hint towards the art direction of the game. Lo and behold, it is. So I'm actually completely happy with the art direction of the game now. I'm not worried at all about the art direction anymore. And, of course, I'm not really worried about the logo anymore. Still kind of a weird logo, but they definitely changed it, which is a good sign. What does Ryu do here? This might be an EX. It's weird, though. It looks like an EX because he lights up, but he's lighting up green instead of orange. Yeah, he's comboing at a Hadouken, so that can't be a super or anything, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. I missed something. I completely missed this. Hold on. Are there parries?
Yeah, look like we kind of counter dodge things.
Okay, after Ryu, like, does an EX into Hadoken, it cuts to Luke, and I think he's parrying. I can't believe I missed that. I think he's parrying. Why would they only show that for a little bit? That's huge. So many people have always wanted the parry system to come back from Street Fighter 3, but Capcom's, they don't do it. I think it's because they're scared that it's too much of like a hardcore mechanic. But look at that. Doesn't that look like an actual parry? Yeah. Because he's parrying multiple times against the same, probably the same attack. That's like a multi-hit attack, right?
Yeah.
It's impossible to know if I think it's impossible to know if this is a third strike parry, or if it's like a parry that has a whiff animation, right? Because you only see the parry connecting. If it's a parry with a whiff animation, it's not a third strike parry, and it's just this weird half measure. But if that's legitimately like a third strike parry, that's a really good sign, because that means Capcom is actually finally doing what people want, finally. This gives me hope that there's going to be another Marvel vs. Capcom now. If they finally get their fighting game division together with this game. It looks like what Ryu does here, I forget the name of it because they added it so late into Street Fighter V's lifespan. But that new mechanic that they added in Street Fighter V, that basically makes you step back and then come back in. Like, you're supposed to use it to bait attacks and then whiff punish it. It looks like Ryu just did that here, so maybe they're keeping that mechanic from Street Fighter V. Maybe they put it in Street Fighter V because they were testing and experimenting the mechanic in there to see if they should use it in 6. Yeah, look, Ryu has like an ink effect, like from Street Fighter 4. I think that's cool. I think it's cool that they don't all have like the same effect color. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chun-Li's is blue and yellow. That makes sense. Yeah, they're actually changing camera angles for the supers a lot. So they obviously want to show off the graphics.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay, and then yeah, okay. So it still looks really graphic designy of a logo, but miles better. Yeah. Good enough. This one looks good enough. Good enough logo. And it has the orange in it, right? I, along with a lot of other people, were upset that, not upset, but just kind of sad that literally every single Street Fighter logo from 1 to 5 had orange in it, right? Like, that was the branding. And then for some reason with the 6, with the weird stock logo, it was just white and transparency. That's lame. So I'm glad they added the orange back, and I'm glad they made it somewhat more interesting looking. So I'm so happy Capcom's listening. They say something about a battle hub afterwards, and then they just show the battle hub, question mark. It's probably like the main menu, like the hub, but instead of it being a menu, you can walk around, right? Because there's Game Center, Extreme. This is probably where you go to like do multiplayer or training. Yeah. I think that looks great. That's better than what I was expecting, because I'm always super skeptical when it comes to Capcom. I always have to keep my expectations in check. But Street Fighter 6 looking amazing, and then Dragon's Dogma 2 likely coming on the 9th. Those are the two things I care about. Like, so long as Street Fighter 6 looks good, which it does, and then Dragon's Dogma 2 gets announced, I think this will be a good E3 for me, at least personally.